A favourite trick for experienced speakers is allowing plenty of time for questions and answers. And I have to say, this is a real nightmare for anyone that loves speaking, right? Because if you're like me, you're full of ideas and you're thinking, my goodness me, this is absolute gold dust, and they will love it. And the fact is, the audience will love it. They'll love the material you've got. It's contextualized to them. It's absolutely specific to their needs. It's incredibly relevant. It's important, practical, down to earth. It's full of practical insights which will solve all kinds of problems for them in that room. And so there are things you think, well, I can't leave that slide out, and I can't miss that out, and that story is the most important thing in the whole presentation. This bit I need for entertainment, and that's got to keep them awake and give them a bit of light variety. So before you know where you are, you said to yourself, well, I probably got 50 minutes material. And then when you're in the audience, they love you so much that the story becomes another story, and that point becomes another point, and then you start producing stuff that you had no intention of saying, but just it came out. It just poured, it flowed, and it was a fantastic presentation. But, oh my word, you just finished with 20 seconds to go, no time for questions, sorry about that. And yet, when we do actually give time for questions, we can see something amazing. As a speaker, it's actually quite difficult for any speaker to maintain a continuous stream of consciousness, not only in you, but also in every single man and woman around that auditorium for 100% of the time. And there's something psychologically easier about question and answers. Because when the question and answers are happening, instead of the audience giving you permission to speak to them, they're saying, yep, okay, I'm not going to walk out, I'm going to stay. And actually, he's very entertaining. He's the best speaker we've heard all conference, and I'm prepared to sit and listen. And hey, that's great. And then they warm up to you, and there we are, and the thing lights up, and the room lights up, and everything's happening. That's one dynamic. But it's a completely different dynamic when it's a question and answer session. You see, when it's a presentation, you're in charge, you're in the driving seat, you control the ideas, you've made the decisions, you have total editorial management of that space. Obviously in partnership with the organisers, who I hope you've included very closely. They've probably seen the deck of slides you're going to use, you've discussed which ones you're going to take out, which ones you want to put in, and it's a process of partnership in developing that material. But even so, when you're up there in front of the audience, you are in the driving seat. But when it's questions and answers, it can be a kind of gladiatorial combat, but in the best possible way. You see, you've got the intellectual firepower of that entire audience, maybe 200 or 300, maybe 1,000 people, pitted against you. And there will be an element of sparking here, an element of sparring, an element of, I wonder, we'll throw him this googly and see how he manages that question. And when you return it easily and comfortably, they think, that's interesting. I wonder how he'll manage this one. Whew, off it goes. And you manage that one simply and easily as well. Wow. And now the agenda is being set by them, and they're warming to it and getting into particular conversations and debates. It's set by them, the agenda is set by them. If we're overrunning on time, you know what? If those questions are coming thick and fast, many a chairman will feel under pressure to allow the discussion to go on. Why? Well, the audience are making their own decisions. They obviously don't want to go on to the next speaker. They're well aware they're going to be late for lunch if we carry on like this. You say, well, we'll have to give it another 2 or 3 minutes maybe. But if you were to overrun, then you are making an editorial decision to violate everything that the conference has been planning, perhaps to dishonour the speaker that's following, not only by perhaps putting under pressure their own finishing point to finish earlier than they would otherwise have liked, but also you may have dishonoured them by dumping onto them an overtired audience who, quite frankly, may be even a bit irritated by the fact that we've already overrun once, and now they think the next speaker is going to overrun again, and so on and so forth. So these things are all very important. So we need to be very sensitive, considerate, listening to our audience, engaging with them, being mindful of the needs of the organizer and the other speakers and so on, and looking all the time for the opportunities there are to really engage with where the group is at. And that's the point of those questions and answers.